Let's get right into it. Number 10. Cakes from a mix. Back in the 1950s, cake mixes were actually more convenient than they are now. They had everything. Even the eggs were in there in powdered form. All you had to do was add water, mix, and bake. But sales were terrible. Women felt like they weren't really cooking for their families. They felt like they were cheating at baking. So Betty Crocker took the powdered eggs out of the mix. Now you had to crack your own eggs into the batter. That tiny bit of extra work made people feel like they were actually baking. Sales went through the roof. Research has found that people actually enjoy things more when they put in a little effort. It's why we love IKEA furniture more after we build it ourselves, and why homemade gifts mean more than store-bought ones. So when you crack eggs into your cake mix today, you're participating in one of the most successful marketing tricks ever created. You're doing exactly what the marketing team wanted, feeling like a real baker while still using their convenient product. Number 9. Jaywalking. Back in the 1920s, streets weren't just for cars. They were public spaces where people walked, kids played, and street vendors sold their stuff. But car companies had a problem. People kept getting hit by cars and everyone was blaming the drivers. So the auto industry invented a new word, jaywalking. Back then, calling someone a jay was like calling them a stupid country bumpkin. It was basically the 1920s version of, okay, boomer. The car companies hired Boy Scouts to hand out cards shaming people who crossed the street. They even made people dress up as clowns and walk badly across streets to mock pedestrians. The strategy worked perfectly. Cities started passing laws against jaywalking. The public started blaming pedestrians instead of drivers. And just like that, car companies turned walking across the street, something humans had been doing since the invention of legs, into a crime. You're not standing at crosswalks because it's safer. You're standing there because car executives in the 1920s hired clowns to make fun of pedestrians. Number 8. The Santa Claus look. Before Coca-Cola got their hands on Santa, he was a complete fashion disaster. Some places pictured him as a skinny, creepy dude in green. Others drew him as a tiny elf that would probably get mistaken for a garden gnome. Some versions even had him riding a goat instead of reindeer. But in 1931, Coca-Cola hired an artist named Haddon Sundblom to create a new Santa that would make people thirsty for Coke during winter. He created the Santa we all know today, the chubby, rosy-cheeked grandpa in a bright red suit that matches Coca-Cola's brand colors. This wasn't just any marketing campaign. This was like getting the world's biggest celebrity to promote your product, but better. Because this campaign was so successful, it literally rewrote history. Now, when kids draw Santa, they're basically drawing a Coca-Cola ad from the 1930s. Some marketing guy's decision about what would sell more soda has shaped how billions of people picture a cultural icon. It's like if future generations only knew Ronald McDonald as the Pope because McDonald's did a really good job with their ads. The marketing was so effective that most people today think this is how Santa has always looked. So next Christmas, when you're watching mall Santas ho-ho-ho their way through long lines of kids, remember, they're all basically wearing vintage Coca-Cola merch. Number 7. Bacon for breakfast. The reason you think bacon and eggs is a normal breakfast is because of Sigmund Freud's nephew. Around 100 years ago, Americans weren't big on breakfast. Most people just had coffee and maybe a piece of toast. The Beechnut Company, which sold bacon, wasn't happy about this. They hired Edward Bernays, who invented the field of PR and manipulation. He contacted 5,000 doctors and asked them one question: is it better to eat a heavy breakfast or a light breakfast? These doctors were probably smoking cigarettes while writing their responses, but 4,500 of them said heavy breakfast is better after fasting all night. Bernays turned these responses into newspaper headlines across America. 4,500 physicians urge bigger breakfast for better health, and suddenly, bacon and eggs became the doctor-recommended breakfast. It's like if today 4,500 doctors said drinking Mountain Dew for breakfast was healthy. This wasn't even Bernays' most manipulative campaign. This is the same guy who got women to start smoking by calling cigarettes freedom torches. He convinced people that smoking was a form of women's liberation. So when you're frying bacon, you're participating in one of the most successful PR campaigns in history. A campaign so effective, it's still working 100 years later. Number 6. Shaving everywhere. It's 1915 and you're a razor company. Business is good, but there's a problem. You've sold razors to pretty much every man who needs one. If you're Gillette, you look at the other half of the population and think, what if we convinced women they need to shave everything? Before 1915, women didn't care about body hair. It was just there, like eyebrows or fingernails. Just another part of being human. But Gillette started running ads in magazines showing women in sleeveless dresses with perfectly smooth armpits. The ads basically said, "Your armpit hair is disgusting and everyone's judging you for it." Within a few years, women started feeling weird about their completely natural body hair. Then in the 1920s, as hemlines got shorter, these companies targeted leg hair next. These companies would never show hair in their ads. They'd just show smooth skin and talk about removing unsightly hair. They were pretending women naturally came hairless. And if you had hair, something was wrong with you. Today, we're spending billions of dollars every year fighting this completely natural thing our bodies do. The average woman will spend about $10,000 on hair removal in her lifetime. That's enough money to buy a decent used car or take a really nice vacation. And now some razor companies run body-positive campaigns saying it's okay not to shave, which is like an arsonist telling you it's okay if your house doesn't burn down. You're basically following a 100-year-old marketing campaign that worked so well, we forgot it was even marketing. Number 5. Lather, rinse, repeat. Back in the early days of shampoo marketing, some genius figured out the easiest way to double their sales. Just tell people to use the product twice. The whole repeat thing started as a fictional story. In Benjamin Cheever's novel, The Plagiarist, an advertising executive becomes a hero by adding one simple word to shampoo bottles: repeat. Real shampoo companies saw this fictional story and thought it was actually a pretty good idea. And suddenly, a made-up marketing trick became a real-world habit. Modern shampoos are so effective that you only need one wash. Unless you've been rolling around in mud or haven't washed your hair for weeks, that second wash is just washing money down the drain. If everyone follows this repeat instruction, shampoo companies basically double their sales. This trick spread to other products too. That perfect swirl of toothpaste in commercials is about 3 times more than what dentists recommend. The lather, rinse, repeat thing has become so normal that people actually feel guilty if they don't do it. It's like Stockholm Syndrome, but for your hair care routine. That second wash isn't making your hair any cleaner, it's just making some marketing executive very happy. Number 4. The Summer Blockbuster. It's 1975, and Universal Studios has a movie about a big shark that eats people. The special effects aren't working, the mechanical shark keeps breaking down, and the whole thing is way over budget. Before Jaws, summer was considered a dead zone for movies. Studios thought everyone was too busy enjoying the beach to watch films. Big movies were saved for winter, when people were stuck indoors. But Universal was desperate to make their money back on this troubled shark movie. They released Jaws in 464 theaters at once, which was unheard of at the time. Most movies would open in about 20 theaters, then slowly expand if they did well. They bombarded TV with 30-second ads during prime time. They even got the Jaws theme played on radio stations as a song. People were hearing dun 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 between Beatles songs. The result was incredible. People were terrified to go to the beach that summer. Instead, they went to the movies. Jaws made $7 million in its first weekend, equivalent to $40 million today. Every studio suddenly realized people would watch movies in summer if they made them exciting enough. The next summer, they tried it again with Star Wars. Now, studios save their biggest movies for summer. Before Jaws, the word blockbuster meant a bomb that could destroy a whole city block, which is exactly what Jaws did to the old Hollywood release schedule. Number 3. The Michelin Star Restaurant Guide. This whole thing started because a tire company wanted to sell more tires. Back in 1900, France had fewer than 3,000 cars on the road. That's bad news if you're selling tires. So the Michelin brothers came up with a genius plan. They created a guide that told people about cool places they could drive to. The first guide wasn't about fancy restaurants at all. It was basically a survival manual for drivers. It had maps, instructions on how to fix your car, and where to find mechanics. They gave it away for free. But when they found copies of their guide being used as stands for mechanics working on cars, they started charging for it. Their logic was simple. People only respect what they pay for. The brothers started sending out mysterious people to review restaurants. These reviewers were like food ninjas. They'd show up unannounced, eat their meal, and disappear into the night. The restaurants had no idea they were being reviewed. Some reviewers would visit the same restaurant multiple times in different disguises, just to make sure the quality was consistent. Even today, Michelin reviewers are so secretive that they're not allowed to tell their families about their job. They have to pretend they work in something boring like insurance while they're having $500 meals at the fanciest restaurants in Paris. This restaurant rating system was just a way to get people to drive more. The more people drove to these restaurants, the more their tires would wear out. And who made the tires? Michelin. They turned a tire company into the world's most respected authority on fine dining. Today, getting a Michelin star can make or break a restaurant. Some chefs have literally cried when they lost a star. And all of these careers made and broken because two brothers wanted to sell more tires. Number 2, deodorant. It's 1912 and everyone's sweating at a fancy dinner party. Nobody cares because that's just how life was back then. A company called Odorono was struggling to sell their deodorant. Their sales were so bad, the company was almost bankrupt until they hired James Young, a copywriter who changed society forever. He created an ad showing a young woman crying because she couldn't keep a man. The headline read, "Within the curve of a woman's arm," a frank discussion of a subject too often avoided. The ad told women their natural body odor was why they were single. The ad was so controversial that readers canceled their magazine subscriptions in protest. But within just a few years, Odorono's sales jumped from $65,000 to $417,000. The company then started running ads suggesting coworkers were talking about your body odor behind your back. They even implied you could get fired for sweating. They took something completely natural that nobody cared about and turned it into a social nightmare. By 1927, Americans were spending $1 million on deodorant. Today, we spend $18 billion a year globally just to not smell like humans. Research has found that a large percentage of East Asian people don't even need deodorant. They have a specific gene that means they barely produce any body odor. Yet deodorant sales are booming in Asia too. That's how powerful marketing can be. It can convince you to solve a problem you don't even have. Number 1, bottled water. You've been tricked into paying for something that comes out of your tap for basically free. Back in the 1970s, bottled water companies had a big problem. Nobody wanted to buy their product because water was already free. So they came up with one of the most brilliant marketing campaigns ever. They started making people afraid of tap water. These companies spent millions convincing you that tap water was dirty and unsafe. They ran ads showing pristine mountain springs while subtly hinting that your tap water came from some sketchy underground pipe. In most developed countries, tap water is actually more regulated than bottled water. The stuff you're paying 2,000 times more for has fewer safety requirements. About 64% of bottled water is literally just tap water in a fancy bottle. Aquafina is tap water. Dasani is tap water with some minerals thrown in. They're selling you the same water that comes out of your sink, just with a prettier package and a massive markup. When Fiji Water ran ads saying, "The label says Fiji because it's not bottled in Cleveland," Cleveland tested Fiji Water against their tap water. Cleveland's tap water was cleaner. Fiji Water had measurable levels of arsenic. Cleveland's tap water had none. But the marketing worked so well that now we're buying 50 billion water bottles per year in the US alone. That's enough bottles to circle the Earth 190 times. Companies like Nestle often pay less than $200 to pump out millions of gallons of water from public sources. Then they sell it back to us for billions of dollars. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.